Welcome to the podcast, Mike. I'm so excited to welcome Mike because this guy was on my list to be one of the guests since the day I started. I'm actually in his STR Secrets mastermind. It's been amazing. He teaches like hundreds of people how to get into short-term rental investing. He has one of the biggest podcasts in this industry for short-term rentals, STR Secrets. And he's just a mentor, a great friend to a lot of people, and just a giving person in general. So I'm just so excited to just share a lot of knowledge with him here. On top of that, he's also known really well for analyzing deals, and he's really good with his numbers. His deals, he pretty much knows from the day he buys the deal that it's going to make money because he's so good at analyzing them. Plus, as well as getting into the hotel space, he also has a lot of experience there. So I'm really excited for him to share all of this. But welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So just debrief quickly for the people that don't know you, the two people that are listening that don't know you. What's your background? What's the 2-minute pitch? What happened?
Yeah, man. So like a lot of the listeners, I'm sure, I was told go to school, get good grades, get a good job, put 10% in a 401k, and someday you'll magically retire a millionaire. And I did that. I went to school, got good grades, got a good job as a CPA. I didn't like what I was doing, but I was good at it and it paid pretty well. And then everything changed when our son was born, and he was born with a very rare lung disease. And long story short, we had to spend a ton of time at the local children's hospital. And at a certain point, I ran out of vacation time. I ran out of sick time. I had all these hospital bills piling up, and I had to leave my wife and my baby in the hospital to go back to a cubicle and trade time for money. And I told my wife that day, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to find a way to build us a business that gives us the income we want without ever trading time for money again. And I knew real estate was going to be the vehicle. And I thought it was going to be apartments, to be honest. I was getting mentored by some different folks in the real estate space. Hadn't done anything yet, but I was starting to invest in education and masterminds. And then I met a guy in a mastermind who was doing rental arbitrage. And this is back in like early 2017, before it was like super sexy and everywhere. And he was showing me his numbers, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like how much he's actually making. But I wasn't sold on the arbitrage thing. I was like, this feels a little sketchy. We pulled a loan out of our 401k. I was making little payments into that over the years, like they told me to do. So I pulled 40 grand out of a 401k, and as a loan, by the way. You don't get taxed on it if you take a loan out of it and then you pay it back. So I took a loan out of the 401k, and we put a down payment on a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo up in the mountains in New Hampshire. And we made a promise to ourselves that we were going to rent this out and obviously do as best as we could, but we were going to use it every single month as a family, no matter what. And I said, okay, done deal. And just like my buddy showed me, that property was cash flowing $1,500 a month net. And we were using it every month for at least a long weekend. And I was like, this is bananas that I get to own a sweet little vacation house that pays me $1,500 a month. But I needed to get to 15 grand a month if I was going to leave my job. And so I started thinking about ways to scale that. And again, I wasn't really sold on the arbitrage. And I was like, what if I just found landlords that had small multifamilies, like 2 duplexes, 3 families, whatever. And I was like, what if I just approached them and pitch them on the idea of if they paid to furnish it, I'd run it and I could make them way more money. And I'm a CPA, like I was not a sales guy, so I sucked at sales. So it took me 9 months to get my first co-host deal, but I just kept persisting over and over again. And finally, somebody gave me a shot. And within 15 months, we had 15 properties in 5 different states. I was able to quit my job. My wife quit her job, and I retired my mom. And then it's just been off to the races. Now we're still in 5 different states, but now we've got 3 boutique hotels and then another like 10 single family homes. And we just cracked 100 units last month when we closed this last one. So it's been a wild ride.
That's huge. So how many of those units do you own versus how many do you manage?
So I own 72 now, which is nuts to say out loud. It's crazy.
That's not even apartment units.
For the first few years, man, we owned one. I owned that little condo, and I just built it up through co-hosting, and then slowly built up my cash flow. And then we could talk about the first hotel deal that I got ownership in without any money. But since then, we've continued to increase our cash flow, right? So we've had excess money to stash, and now we're buying more and more property.
It's amazing. And so why do you recommend people go through co-hosting before they get into buying assets? Do you have a preference?
And people have the money. I'm like, dude, go buy it. I'm a huge fan of owning real estate. I just know that a lot of people, if you looked at the numbers, I don't know off the top of my head, like exactly, but like the amount that people have saved in the US is abysmally low.
Right.
It's crazy. So if you are cash strapped, like there's different levels when people talk about financial freedom. What you need to focus on first is you need to create income. And usually if you don't have enough cash to do that, you need to increase your income by learning a skill set. And one of the best ways to make money is to make other people more money than they could make on their own. And that's all that we do with co-hosting. It's like we offer a service that helps people make more money than they could make on their own with way less headaches. Right. And so through that skill set, I learned how to manage properties and maximize revenue for other people, which made me a bunch of money. And now I can go and buy more. But if you have the capital to do it, I'm 100% believer in going out and investing in purchasing real estate, because you get all the benefits of it, from the cash flow, the appreciation, the tax benefits, the whole shebang. But don't let your income or your savings stop you from getting in the game. That's just a BS excuse.
Got it. So there's no excuse not to get in. Whatever level you're at, whether you have savings or you don't, there's a way for you to actually get that first deal. One thing, Mike, that you did really well, because for the people that are listening, Mike, I would consider you my mentor. I'm in your mastermind. You've taught me a lot already. And one of the biggest things you've taught me is how to structure a plan to get to the next level. And I've literally used that same concept and framework with so many of my clients. So it's just like this ripple effect that's happening. But I really think it'd be valuable if we went through, how do people set a plan to actually take action and take their business to the next level? Let's say that you're somebody that's in the 9-to-5, a rat race. How do you get out of it, right? What kind of things should you consider? How do you get that number, that 15,000 that you got in the beginning? Can we maybe go through the steps on that?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that you need to do is you need to have a very specific goal, and you need to know why you want that thing. Because the biggest mistake that I see most people make, and that I made for a long time, is I have this goal of I want financial freedom. And that sounds great, but what the hell does that actually mean? What is that? Because there's different levels to the game. Are we talking I can jet set wherever the hell I want, wherever I want? That's a completely different income level than I don't have to go to a job anymore. So getting super clear around what is your freedom number. If you made this amount consistently, you would leave your job. What is that number for you? And then ask yourself, why is that important? Because the biggest thing that holds most people back is they're comfortable. I was comfortable. I knew I needed to do this years before I actually did it. It just took my son getting sick and really slapping me in the face that like I was so dependent on trading time for money. That was the catalyst that finally got me to do it. But in the back of my mind, I knew I should be doing this for 5 years before that. But I was comfortable and I was making decent money. I didn't like what I was doing, but it was easy. So if you don't have a strong enough reason why you want to do something, it's going to be very challenging for you to stick with it, because it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. So that would be the first thing, is to know exactly what you want. The second thing would be to put yourself in the right room. So like Patryk is an example. I don't know. We talked probably a year ago around that time.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I have this goal. I want to get to this level. And like, I just know, and you'd been in some different capacities in the industry. Like you weren't like a fresh newbie, but you were like, I just know that if I'm around these other operators and I can leverage your systems, I will get there so much faster. Because what you may have this amazing goal of, I'm going to become financially free. I'm going to get to 15,000 a month or whatever your number is in the next 12 months. And then you start telling people in your circle that, and they just roll their eyes at you because they don't think like you. Like you want to get around people that are going to support, encourage, and challenge you.
So that's the thing, Mike, just to interrupt real quick. When I joined the mastermind, it was pretty tough for Josh. And I don't know if the price tag might change, but it's pretty pricey. It's not cheap. And I have so many people that reach out to me and ask me, hey, is it really worth it? And I think that's it's just insane, because the moment that it's hard to quantify it sometimes. It's not as easy as, oh, like there's an X return, maybe in the sense that you get units or whatnot, but the mind shift that you get through being around these kind of people that are doing it and killing it. And I'm hearing on the calls that people are taking on boutique hotels, taking on 30 units, 50 units. That 5 units doesn't even seem anything crazy. It's okay. That's like, I can do this if they can. So that exposure in itself is worth 10x whatever cost you can put on it. I just wanted to add
I'm
that.
in 2 masterminds myself, technically 3 now. I spend over $100,000 a year on masterminds for that reason, because I want to be the low man on the totem pole, the low woman on the totem pole in the rooms that I'm in. So like the people that I'm hanging out with in those rooms are operating at such a high level that just expand your thinking, and like what your goal is like small potatoes to them. And they're like, yeah, like you can hit that by just doing this and this. It's easy. And it just changes your perspective of what's possible.
Right.
So get a clear goal, get yourself in the right environment, and then find a mentor, like somebody that's done it already and that's helped other people do it. Like that is the cheat code. And make sure that when you're looking for a mentor, 1, they have the experience, they've gotten the results for themselves. 2, they've helped other people get those results. And 3, you actually like this person. Because I've hired mentors before that met the first 2, but I didn't like them as a person. And I didn't get much results because I was just like, they're good, but they're an asshole. And so I like subconsciously, like I wouldn't want to do it because I was just like, I don't like this person. But
I like you, Mike. At least there's that.
Good. That's good. Otherwise you'd be wasting your money. But that's the formula, right? So I use that in business. I talk about it all the time. I used that in golf last year. I wanted to get good at golf and I sucked. So it was like, I set a clear goal. I want to break 90. I need to get around better golfers. So I joined the country club near my house, where I'm literally the worst golfer at the country club. And then I hired the pro to give me lessons. And by the end of the year, my score went from 117 to 89 because I just did that. It's the same process. It's the same thing.
It's a cheat code for anything in life. I feel
it is. It is, dude.
It's like, you want to get better nutrition. All right, go to the person that's done it before multiple times over and has a proven track record of doing it for other people.
I just did. That's the 3rd mastermind that I just joined. Paid somebody a lot of money to basically be a personal trainer / mastermind group with people that are all way more jacked and shredded than me.
Oh my God.
So it's like massive positive peer pressure. Like we get together and go to South Beach with everybody's shirts off. And I'm like, okay, I better get jacked and ripped. Otherwise I'm going to look like a fool. So
I love that. Yeah. And surrounding yourself, I think the environment changes the person so much more than anything else you can do. They always say the 5 people you hang around with, you'll be the 6th winner. If they're all winners, they're all losers, you'll be the 6th loser or whatever.
If you're out at dinner one night and you really want to have a dessert, but when the waiter comes around, everybody else is like, I'm good. Are you going to be that person that's, yeah, I want a dessert. But then if you flip it, if everybody orders dessert and you're trying to be good and not eat dessert, it's way harder for you to do it. So that's why it's so important to be around people that are in alignment with your goals and where you're going. And that'll call you out. Dude, are you really going to order a cheesecake right now? You just told me you wanted 8% body fat. What are you doing? Right? Call you on your crap.
That's also like living with somebody. I live with my girlfriend. And if she's eating healthy, then I'm eating healthy just by natural. Oh, no junk food in the pantry. I'm not going to be enticed at all. So it's one of those things as well. Cool. So moving from that, let's go into the action steps of actually analyzing a deal and making sure that this deal is going to work. So you had mentioned before, you see a lot of students how many students you guys have right now in the mastermind? It's like 400, I think.
430 something.
Something crazy at the time of this recording. 400 students you've seen. What are some of the things with students that they get wrong when buying their first deal, maybe their second deal or whatever, especially now with the economy being in the place that it is? You're going to be seen with your pants down if you're not doing it right. What's doing it? What's not doing it right? Let's learn from the mistakes of 430 students.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people come in with a limiting belief that I'm not good with numbers or this is like super complicated, right? And you've got my deal analyzer. It's pretty fucking basic. I keep it very simple. And so you just have to go in and analyze the data, right? So I've got tons of free training on this. We talked about it on the podcast, but you got to get into like AirDNA, STR Insights, some of these sites and start pulling historical data from these markets. And then you start to analyze, okay, people ask me all the time, like, where should I invest and what size property should I get? And I'm like, it depends, right? Like the property that we bought last year near Disney World in Florida, the way that I identified that property was I actually bought all the raw data from AirDNA for Kissimmee going back 5 years. So it was not cheap, but I bought all the data on it, threw it in a spreadsheet, and I just started analyzing by neighborhood. What's the best 1 bedrooms do, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. And it took me like 4 weeks to do this analysis. Like now you can pretty much do that with STR Insights in an hour.
No, that's crazy.
You're welcome from Kenny and the crew. But like it was that level of detail that then I saw once you got over 10 bedrooms in this particular area, that's when the revenue went through the roof. So that's why we went out and bought an 11 bedroom, a 10 bedroom, converted it to an 11 bedroom, and then did all these crazy themes, because then I looked up, all right, what are the top performing properties in this community and the surrounding communities? All of them had these crazy themes with tube slides and lights and everything else. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be one of the top properties, I need to, at a minimum, do that. What else can I do to do it even better?
Bring Kristen on board. That's how.
Yeah, I have the unfair advantage, right? So, but yeah, working with a really good designer, but just thinking through, here's my competition.
Right.
How do I do it better? How do I be different?
That's a lot of times people don't even look at their market or see what the competition is doing. They just slap something together. So this is beautiful. Why aren't people booking? And did you see what actually matters in that market? Is a hot tub really going to be something that's going to make a difference? So
like you've got some sweet stuff around Joshua Tree. Those designs crush. But if I put some of those designs in like Salem near me, like it probably wouldn't work as well, right? So again, it's like you got to know your market and what's working in your market.
Exactly. Like a cowboy pool. That's a very Joshua Tree thing. I don't
even
know
know
if
what the hell that was.
Yeah. And people think it's crazy. Cowboy, this is literally where animals eat out of this tub and we just repurpose it as a pool. And it's super common in Joshua Tree. But you put one of those in a beach market, I don't know. I haven't done the data.
What is this hillbilly thing you got going on in your backyard?
Yeah, they'll be like, what is this? Yeah. So yeah, it matters about the area. So I love how you did the whole analysis. One thing that I like to do as well is I like to go into because there's different categories now. So I like to go into different categories for across the US, get some inspiration. And I know the Florida market, they have some crazy stuff out there because they have a lot of land, which is great. And Joshua Tree has a lot of land. So I steal some of those ideas, like a full-size bowling ball. You're in one of those tubes. What are those things called?
Where you can sit in it?
Yeah, like you could be in it and you run and it just like rolls. Yeah. And then you have these big like pins and it's like bowling, but you're controlling the ball. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, wow, that's a really neat idea. Looked it up. It wasn't really that expensive. Things like that. I just get really good inspiration from other markets as well.
So when you do all of that, then you put all the numbers in a deal analyzer. Then what I like to do, even still, and this is why we added a call every week in the mastermind for this, is I'll have some of the other guys in the group just look at the numbers. Hey, did I just sense check this? Am I missing anything? Am I being overambitious? Just that's why, again, having a good tribe is so important. Like I've been at this a while, a lot of units, and I still like to sense check myself on every single
cross
deal.
check. Yeah.
And it's just good to get those other perspectives from people that you trust.
And that's actually a good example. Mike Riley, I reached out to him for a deal that Josh and I were looking to buy in Michigan. And we were so sold on this. And everyone in the mastermind just tore it apart for good reason. And we decided not to purchase it. And it was probably for the better because it was going to be a massive headache for the amount that we were paying for it. There's that cross-checking deals.
Mike looks at all my deals too. So
there you go.
Love it. Love it.
What you were saying.
Yeah. So from a deal analysis standpoint, that's pretty much it, man. It's just really knowing your comps, pulling all that historical data, being conservative too. Based on our track record, I know that they've changed the way that this looks now, but for simple purposes, I know before, like on AirDNA, we would outperform the 90th percentile by 20 to 30%. So I would analyze every deal at the 75th percentile, knowing that I was going to smash that. But if I didn't, for whatever reason, there's still so much spread there for us to make money. And I think a lot of folks are in trouble now that have bought something in the last year and a half, 2 years that were like, oh, it's going to keep going like this. And so they bought based on projections and pro formas instead of historical data and being conservative, that even if I had a slowdown or if I had to drop my rates substantially, I have so much margin in there that I can't lose. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of margin.
And I will applaud you because I've talked to Kristen and she was on the podcast. Your Orlando property, that's huge. The fact that there's a like comp on the same block that's making substantially less than you
Like
got half.
That one, I put my cojones on the table a little bit. I'm not going to lie. That one was a little scary. For context, right? Like in that
Right.
community, when I looked at all the data, the top performing property, top performing 10 bedroom, most it had ever done was 178,000 ever. Then I looked at the community next door, which is definitely a little higher end, a lot of custom homes, unbelievable houses over there. Some of those are doing 3, 4, 5, 6, a mil. A couple of them did a mil. So I'm like, what are they doing different over here? It's right next door. It's a community right next door. And so I was like, I bet if I make it look like this, I can hit 240 here. And so when we launched it mid-March, so it went live mid-March, I used it for about another month between April and August. So what's that? Roughly 8 months. It finished the year at 240.
Wow.
So like realistically, the upside's probably closer to 300 over a full year if I wasn't going to use it.
Wow.
So like we hit the numbers, but I wouldn't recommend that for somebody that's new, because even for me being in for a while, like it was a little stressful. I'm not going to lie. Like that was a lot of cash to lay out there on
a bet.
a hunch.
Yeah. Like a gut feeling.
Yeah. Where like, I had a good feeling that I could make it work. But again, we were pretty experienced by that point.
Wow. Yeah. Damn. So double what other comps were doing essentially, which is insane.
Yeah.
So other comps were doing what, 150?
Yeah. That was like 130 to 150 was like the average.
Wow. And just for context, Orlando is just known in the community as literally the hardest market to compete in. At least that's how I look at it.
It's the most saturated market in the world, I believe. There's 37,000 rentals in my zip code. Like, yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were out competing and getting in the top. Do you know what percentile you're in for that property?
I don't know. I'd have to look. It's got to be up there. It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be up there. And but so again, like you've seen it. Like we spent the money to make it look ridiculous.
So what did you do to make it look ridiculous for the people that are listening? What was the key concepts?
The key concept was I hired somebody that was an engineer for Disney, and he built us these insanely crazy custom rooms, like a Frozen princess triple bunk with like ice sculptures hanging off of it. And then we hired a muralist out of Miami to make it all look realistic. We got a spaceship movie theater, so it feels like you're in a spaceship, like in a movie theater. We got a glow in the dark, I don't want to say Avatar, but Avatar-ish dance around.
It was Avatar.
That arcade room. We had a Nintendo bunk room that like looks like you're Mario, like jumping up the little bricks.
Wasn't that a custom bed? Wasn't that a custom
everything
bed?
In there was custom built.
But it wasn't like really that expensive. That room, what was it, like 10K from what I remember? That room?
It was a little more than that, but it wasn't that bad. But again, like I found somebody that got laid off during COVID from Disney and was looking for work. And I was like, let's see how good you are.
Wow.
And they were like, okay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn from that. So hire the experts that maybe beyond even just designers. I've learned that maybe hiring somebody that's really technical that worked on movie sets, for instance. Yep. Heather has some experience in that, which is cool. Yeah. But yeah.
Leveraging your network though, like your network is your cheat code. And I think like we were talking about like the value of a mastermind before, a huge piece of that is the network, because it's like a cheat code. The mastermind found me that deal, helped me close that deal, helped me find some contractors for that deal. Now we share a lot of the same team members for that deal. You know what I mean? So it's like anytime, like if I was going to go do a deal in Joshua Tree, I would just hit up Patryk and I'd be like, hey man, I'm looking at doing something in Joshua Tree. Like where are the best areas that I should go to? Yeah. I don't even have to do the research. I can just call somebody in 10 minutes. I'll know exactly where to go. That's like my Rolodex is deep. And so it's just the cheat code.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And so going back to the rentals, where are you at right now? I just want to know more or less for the people listening, what's your monthly? Because you said 15K was what you were trying to hit. Where are you at right now?
We're with the deal that we just wrapped up 2022 at 2.8. Yeah, 2.8 mil.
A year?
Yeah. So again, I don't keep all of that. Some of those I own, some of those I don't. So it's blended, but it's a good income, right? Like you can do some math on that. It's a good income. The deal that we just closed should bring in another 3 million a year. So we should be around close pushing 6 million just with what we have in the pipeline now.
I know it was your goal to hit $1 million a month. Have you hit that yet?
No,
you haven't.
No.
Got it. You've gotten close.
We'll get there.
You get there. There you go.
Yeah. We'll
That's
get
great.
there.
Yeah. So it's definitely possible. Is there any difference of living on 20K a month, 25K a month versus 200, 300K a month?
I mean, after I got over a certain point, like my lifestyle hasn't changed, but it's, if I want to do certain things, like we just had my boardroom event at that Florida house last week. And I was like, I don't really want to go home. So I literally called Chris and I was like, hey, what are the chances you and Caden can go to the airport right now? And I'll have a couple first class seats waiting for you to just fly down here on a whim and just come down. You know what I mean? Like just those types of things, like I don't have to think about, we just do. For the Nashville event, I'm a little concerned with some of the airline choices that I have going from Orlando, because I'm going to be at that house. I'm going from there to Nashville for our conference. There's only 2 airlines and both of them are not doing very well right now. So I'm highly considering just chartering a private jet for that trip, which is not going to be cheap, but I need to be there and I cannot be late for my own event. So like,
100%.
okay, I'll just do that. So it just gives you more options. And yes, I've got nice cars and stuff like that, but the real freedom, like the whole reason why I did this was to be able to have choices, to be able to do stuff with the people that I care about the most, whenever the hell I want.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the things that people don't realize is time is actually the most valuable resource.
100%.
And it's not promised. It's not guaranteed. So you could lose it tomorrow, right? So that's the crazy thing, is people are so fixated on money. But the reason you did this, your why, from my understanding, is to be with your family, to spend time with family. It's not because first class is a flex and that's why you want to bring your family to Orlando. No, you want to spend time with your family and you're going to do whatever it takes to get them here, right? Yeah. So I think that's the key thing that I'm getting from this, right?
Yeah. And at a certain point, like you just start to raise your standards. And a lot of people are going to think that this is super bougie, but like, I will only fly first class. Like I will not fly anything below that. And again, it sounds bougie, but like, those are just my standards now. That's just it. And it's just figuring out what's important to you. Like, I'm not a huge clothes guy. I don't know. What is this? Under Armour shirt I got for Christmas. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Isn't that hat like really popular for the people that are listening? He's got a
branded bills. Yeah. I got a branded hat.
Yeah.
That I took to my local tailor over here to embroider it. So anyway, you're not going to find me wearing on a normal day. I'm not rocking like Gucci shoes and whatever. It's just not my gym. It's not important to me. I could care less. Right. But if it's important to you, cool. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Do what's important to you.
100%.
I like nice cars. I drive nice cars. That's it. I don't care if other people don't like it. If it makes other people.
What car do you drive right now? Just curious.
I just got a new Escalade a couple months ago. I love that thing. And then I got an M4 for the summer.
Love the BMW M class. That's really cool.
It's just a fun little car that's a 4-seater, so I can put the whole family in. Next year, I'm probably going to get the 911 Turbo S.
Cool.
I'm a car guy. Like I like cars.
And there you go. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. But it's like also at the same time, it's been 6 years since we started this whole, coming up on 6 years. So like we pushed hard for a few years to get to that point, and now we continue to double down to build the portfolio and the cash flow. Now I don't feel bad rewarding myself every once in a while. I don't.
If you're on a come up, if you're like at my level, right, and I decide, hey, I'm going to buy a Porsche 911, you can, but it's going to slow down your progress, right?
It's just what's important to you. If somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I want to get to 100K a month, and I'm like, okay, cool, show me what you're doing, and they're rocking like designer shoes and fancy cars, I'm like, dude, you got the wrong game plan. You got the wrong game plan. Right. If I was aggressively going to go for like 100 mil or billionaire status right now, I shouldn't be buying these cars. It's not my target right now. Like my son is 6. I want to spend a lot more time with him. I want to be able to coach his sports teams. I'm like stabilizing and building the amazing team and the infrastructure underneath me to continue to be able to grow and continue to have the same level of time investment in my businesses. That's it.
For
That's
sure.
it.
For sure. So going off of that, and what's actually important to you now, boutique hotels. Let's talk about that. You just closed a big boutique hotel deal. Would you even consider that a boutique hotel? I don't know what the criteria is.
Yeah. There's two different types. When I say the word boutique hotel, I basically mean it's an independent, non-flagged. It's not a Hilton, a Marriott, or whatever. This is 57 units. So it's a good sized property. It's not like a little mom and pop thing anymore. There will be staff at this one. It's going to be run like a hotel, more lean. I don't need 25 people working there, but I will have a person in the office to handle stuff. I will have a maintenance person that's full time. We will have in-house cleaners, all of that stuff. But
so why hotel? Why go into that space? What's really exciting for you about
a couple
that?
of reasons. One, I don't have to worry about any regulation from a short-term rental standpoint, which is still one of the biggest risks in the game. Is what happens if I buy this property and spend $1 million and then the county comes in or the city comes in and they're like, yeah, we're just going to not allow short-term rentals anymore. There's always that inherent risk in a lot of different markets. I don't have to worry about that. The other thing, almost more importantly, is just the way that commercial real estate is valued. The short-term rentals will get you cash flow and financially independent. The hotels will make you wealthy.
Right.
Like every hotel deal we've done has made us multiple seven figures. Like it's if you have the right blueprint. And the reason for that is because commercial real estate, like hotels, is valued based on how much income it brings in. So imagine this. Imagine that house in Florida that we were just talking about. I doubled the income on that property, but it doesn't mean that the house is worth twice as much as when I bought it. Unfortunately, it's not. With a hotel, you double the revenue or you double the net operating income, you double the value of that property. So that's how we're able to go in and just massively force appreciation, go back to the bank, refinance, pull all the cash out, and then still have a ton of equity in it and cash flow and go out and do it again and again and again.
So you're burning hotels essentially.
We're burning hotels.
Yeah. Do you pull all the money out when you get into refi?
Yep.
That's really nice.
And some. So it's like we're getting paid to own them.
And then now you have, I guess, technically a free hotel, no money in the deal, just cash flowing, which is awesome. That is the ultimate power move. And with that, hotels, how do you add forced appreciation from your, what's your strategy?
We go in and we find these hotels that have been run down, right? So all three have been multi-generation owners that passed it down, right? So by the time it gets to like the kid or the grandkid, they just let it go and they just let it run. And there's basically just a lot of opportunity to make the property look nicer, which then allows you to reposition it and charge more per night. You can cut a lot of the expenses because a lot of them just have a lot of overhead with staff. So when you increase the revenue, you decrease the expenses. That's all it takes is to increase your net operating income. And then you just massively force the appreciation up.
And what I like about it is you're also doing cutting staff, for instance, and operating everything remotely. And you've done that with your previous hotel. I'm not exactly sure what was the unit count on that, but can you talk a little bit more about how you were able to automate this like a short-term rental?
Yeah. So it's going to depend on the property type. So the first one that we did, it's a smaller 13 unit. You can look it up, the Cove at Rockport, coveatrockport.com, high-end boutique oceanfront hotel. I love it up there. I was just up there over the weekend. My initial goal was to run that property remotely. What I learned fairly quickly was two things. One, if you're charging $400 to $600 a night, people have a certain expectation at a hotel. Two, the way that this building was laid out, it's like an old Victorian mansion that they chopped up into hotel rooms. It's very challenging to navigate somebody to a room with automated messages.
Got it.
More so the older demographic. The younger demographic can figure it out. We've got YouTube videos that show them how to get there and stuff like that. But the older demographic, they're like, where the hell am I going? Why can't somebody help me get to a room? So like we had the revenue and the margin to have that staffed. So like during our peak season, we have somebody there 7 days a week. Now, the second one that we did is a 22 unit. That one is like your garden style apartment, almost like a long strip, 3 levels, pretty easy to get to your room. That one we run completely remote. We are taking the cleaning in-house just because it makes more sense to do that, but there's no front desk. When I say no staff, I mean, you don't have to go to a front desk and like talk to somebody. It's all self-check-in, different demographic, a lot of business travelers, a lot of extended stays.
So it works.
The theme for that one was like no frills, clean, comfortable, affordable. So like nice mattresses, nice linens, nice towels, nothing fancy, nice price point, easy self-check-in and check out. Done.
Interesting. So some people, you don't really need to do the luxury on that. It's just business travelers. They don't need that kind of crazy.
I will say that since we launched that one in July of 2021, we have turned over some of the rooms and renovated them more extensively. And obviously those absolutely crush the other ones.
Wow.
Right? So it's not even close. So there's a plan to turn those over time from the revenue, but typically we'll go in like for this unit or this latest deal, the renovation budget is as much as the purchase price. Just put it that way. So like it's an extensive 9-month reno and 27 out of the 57 rooms are getting ripped to the studs and completely rebuilt. So that one will be stunning when it's done.
Is it going to be more the luxury-esque?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Because again, when you know your comps, most of my comps have better location. They're in the heart of downtown, but they have no parking and the rooms are dated. So we're a mile down the road, like literally a mile. It's technically walkable, but I wouldn't want to do that this time of year in Boston. So how do we compete? I can make the rooms look way better, like super modern, sleek, sexy ass rooms. We have plenty of parking. We can buy a shuttle and offer a shuttle service into town. We're going to do themed rooms, which nobody does up here, and play off the whole Salem theme with the witch trials and dungeons and a murder scene, like all sorts of crazy stuff, and just make it completely different than anything else and super modern.
Here, are you taking a bet that people will like those themed rooms? Because I did you see the comps to show that can happen?
Nobody does that around here. But if you look at the type of traveler that comes to Salem, it's a mix. You get a lot of like historians that just love the history. 1600, it was founded in 1626. A lot of merchant ships, a lot of really cool history in the town. And then you have a lot of people that like are obsessed with the witch trials and like the satanic temples and all of that very like eccentric crowd. They're going to eat that up.
Oh yeah. So
and nobody else has that. So we could take a $200 a night room and charge $400 because it's crazy themed.
Wow. So that's the importance of knowing your demographic.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I know that
we're not going to do the whole thing. It'll probably be like, I think we're thinking like 6 to 8 rooms will be themed. And then the other ones will all just get modernized.
Perfect.
And if it does well, then we'll add more. And
so that's going to be like your test to see if that works. Got it. Perfect. And what's not, you're taking on this big 50 unit hotel deal. I get that. Did you put any money in this deal?
Yeah,
you did.
I did an even 3-way split on this one.
Got it. Perfect. And then you're going to cash out at the end of it.
Yeah, we'll see. We got really good debt on it with the SBA. We locked in like under 6% fixed for a long time. So either way, like the cash on this deal is ridiculous once it's stabilized. Like it'll be my best deal I've ever done.
That is awesome. You don't have to make your first deal the best deal. Now that took 3 hotel deals before you got the.
And they're all good. They're all singles, doubles, and triples. This one should be. We've had a couple home runs. I'm not gonna lie. Some of those deals were lights out. But yeah, this will be a good one.
Cool. So what's next for Mike? What's Mike working on? What are you excited about? Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff in the hopper.
Some bucket list stuff that you want to check off in the next.
Yeah, I'm going to take Riley and I are going to go golf at Pebble Beach. So Mike Riley kind of runs our coaching and operations, and I'll probably take Matt too, who runs my properties. That's been on my bucket list for a while. And Riley was like, dude, let's just schedule it. Let's just go. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So awesome. We'll definitely hit Pebble Beach. Really excited for the Wealth Con. Tickets are sold out, which is bananas.
That is congratulations.
Thank you.
And you guys are already securing, at least from what I've heard from Bill, you guys are securing the next year's venue already.
Yes, which is going to be
Crazy.
substantially larger and substantially more expensive. We're locking all that in right now. Somewhere between 2,500 to 3,500 people for that one.
Wow. This one has 1,000. And just for the people who are listening, at the time of the recording, it's January 24th. It's in
It's 2 months, the 20th
2
of
months.
March.
It's already sold out. And people usually buy last minute.
Yeah.
I remember it was like 600 tickets were already sold before it even launched or something like that.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was super proud of that. It was a really cool event. Bill and I put our chips on the table and spent some coin on that to make that happen, but I'm super pleased with how it came out. So yeah, super excited for that. Got a lot of big goals if you looked at my goals for the year, a lot of them are around certain team members and helping them elevate to certain things in the business. So yeah, this is the year of A players for me, for like my team.
So I think to take you to any kind of level, next level, or whatever you want to go, having the right people in your circle and on your team, A players only, A players, and bringing them up and mentoring them is going to be the next step from my understanding.
I'm going to buy at least one more, probably 2 more hotels this year. So it's just tightening up. Our systems are good, but I want to have it so tight like we do in the regular mastermind for the STRs that like anybody can follow it. And then I can partner with a bunch of different people from the mastermind. Because at this point, I have a lot of investors that want to do deals, and I'm just catching up with the infrastructure to support all the deals that they want to do.
Got it. So you've had hotel deals across your desk that you had to say no to?
Yeah.
Wow.
More money, like not enough deals, a lot of money. A lot of investors are like, and again, it comes from being in a lot of high level masterminds. A lot of these successful people are seeing what I'm doing and they're like, dude, how do I get in on one of those with you? So again, now it's just like having the right infrastructure to support all of those, because I know my team is great and they can handle it. But if we're doing 57 units right now. If I threw another 50 on top of that, could they handle that? I don't know. I haven't stress test that. So
yeah, 100%. So are you open to deals, just for the people listening? And let's say somebody has a boutique hotel deal, they think of you. What are you open to all over the US, or are you just the Northeast? Or
I prefer the Northeast, but honestly, I'm going to end up everywhere. So if you got a deal, feel free to send it to me, because if I'm not going to do it, I'll send it to Patryk and some of the other folks that are looking to do deals. So
awesome.
We've got a big network of people that are doing deals.
I know Rich is taking over California with the boutique hotel deals. So I feel like there's people all over the country that are doing.
Yeah. Will's doing a 60 unit development deal in Texas. Cam just took down like 18 unit community of cabins. Carrie's working on her, I forget how many units she's doing in Wisconsin. Oh, Mark Hernandez just took down 32 units. New member Isaac just joined the boardroom. He's taken that. He's developing like 40 units or something. So we're all over the map. A lot of people doing deals.
Awesome. Yeah. I just wanted to close this off and do the final questions with you. I'm going to throw in a special one for you, but curious for you. First one, what book do you recommend, or do you really think you can amount your success to? And it doesn't have to be real estate related.
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Wow. First time I've gotten recommended that. Why?
Just read it and you'll know why.
Say it one more time.
Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil. Okay. That's it. Just mic drop.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the book that put me over 6 figures a month. Once
Wow.
I like started, but it's not a book that you read once. Like these are the book. I read a few books on repeat every year. Like I don't read a lot of new stuff. It's just,
you want to drop those books for the people listening that want to get to your level?
Yeah. You got to be willing to commit to it though. Outwitting the Devil, Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, Think and Grow Rich, Thing by Genevieve B. Rand and Thomas Troward. You're going to have to read that one a few times. The Dore Lectures by Thomas Troward. It's deep. And that's one that you study. And it's all just unlocking your potential in your subconscious.
That's huge.
It's everything.
The Genie Within.
Genie Within's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And they put that in like modern day English. Yeah, that's a good one.
Powerful. Awesome. And I'm going to give you this question for you, Mike. So let's say you're getting somebody, I want to do a hypothetical.
Okay.
So this person comes up to you and they're homeless right now. they got into drug addiction or something like that. They're looking to get to your level in the next 10 years. Is that possible?
Yeah.
So
how bad do you want it?
So that's what I'm saying. He wants it bad. Willing
Okay.
to do whatever it takes. Now, guide that person from year 1 to year 10. Doesn't have to be crazy elaborate, but how can they get to that level?
First off, you got to show, are we talking like they're legit living on the streets right now?
Yes, living on the streets.
Okay.
Nothing.
So you got to find a way to come up with some type of, find a way to add value to somebody. I don't give a shit if it's like sweeping floors, bussing dishes, washing dishes. Like you need some way to create some income so that you can like fucking take a shower and get some decent clothes. You don't got to wear a suit, but if you look and smell like shit, like nobody's going to take you seriously.
100%.
So go find a way to hustle and make a few bucks. See if you can work for a little boutique hotel owner and you can be the boots on the ground, like handyman stuff. Go to the library, use the computer, and go to YouTube University on being a handyman. From that point, I would be going to as many local real estate meetups as possible. I'd be listening to as many podcasts. Again, I would be like going to the library. I haven't been to the library in a long time, but I'm assuming that they got computers in there that you can use YouTube on. Because I'm assuming you're broke. You don't have a phone. You don't have shit.
You don't have anything. Yeah.
You got nothing. So I would be going to the local meetups. And I'm assuming this person's been sober now for a while, correct?
Yeah. Sober, change, and AA. Yeah.
So I'd be working. Actually, yesterday is 17 years sober for me. So I have been there.
Wow.
Long time ago. Yeah, yesterday, ironically. 17 years. So
well, congratulations.
I would leverage, thank you. I would leverage the connections in AA and see who is doing real estate. A lot of successful people in AA, because once they get their shit together, they are hustlers and they are focused.
100%.
So a lot of very successful people in AA. I would work that. I would try and work my network to figure out how can I get around people that are doing deals. And then I would just start to offer services for free. Like you're going to be living off of friggin' canned beans for a while and who cares? But I would be doing everything that I could to get around those people and just learn via osmosis. And just like Patryk was asking me, how could you go find a deal and bring it to an investor? Whether it's door knocking, go on YouTube and watch a bunch of Pace Morby stuff and figure out how to do a wholesale deal. And then bring it to somebody like me and make $5,000. And then I'm like, hey, nice job, dude. Or nice job, lady. Congrats. Here's your $5,000 wholesale fee. Go find me another one like that. I would just find ways to get around people because the money's not the issue. It's just you don't have a skill set yet. Like you're not bringing anything of, I don't want to say you're not bringing anything of value because that sounds shitty, but you have to find a way to add value to somebody that is going to lead to them giving you money or partnering.
It's a substantial value, essentially.
Exactly. So like I would just be learning as much as I can. I would be studying in the libraries. Like I was studying real estate, like I said, for years before I actually got in the game. I didn't need to do that. That was just procrastination, the lack of necessity. But like you could absorb a lot of that and then start to go to meetups and be like, hey, who's looking for deals in this area? I'm a new wholesaler in the area. I'm looking to do this and this, or just find an angle to meet with those people. Like that is literally all that I would do.
Do you do co-hosting at this point too, or no?
You're not going to know what the hell to do. Like here's my thing on education, right? And this isn't a plug for me or anybody else. If you want to go out and do arbitrage or buy property and you don't want to pay for coaching, have at it. You're gambling with your own money. But you take on somebody else's property and somebody else's investment, you better know what the fuck you're doing. Because to me, that's just unethical. There's a reason why if you're going to be a stockbroker or a financial advisor or anything else, you have to go to school and get certain certifications so that you don't lose somebody else's money. We don't have that for co-hosting yet. So find somebody like Patryk or anybody to go out there and learn how to co-host deals. Get educated to do it the right way. And don't gamble with somebody else's money. So that would, or go work for somebody like me for free, or Patryk or whoever, go work for them for free, learn the business. Like Matt, who runs my whole operation now, he basically worked for me for free for a year.
Can I ask, Mike?
Yeah.
Would you be open if somebody reached out to you and asked you, let's say this guy in hypothetical situation reached out to you and asked, hey, can I work for you for free? I just want to learn everything. Would you take him on, or is that just, or it depends?
Not where I'm at right now. However, because I already have a full team, and it's going to cost me more of my time to go and train somebody. But if you find somebody who's at an earlier stage, like before I had a team and it was just me running around with my head cut off, like doing stuff, that's how you get in.
Got it. That's good.
Because you can just do whatever for that person.
I'm
At a certain
assuming
point, it'd be like going up to, I don't know, Torek El Musa. And, hey, Torek, like, I want to help you flip a house. What can I do for you? He's like, dude, it's going to take me more energy to train you on what I need help with when I already have a bunch of people around me that are doing it for me. So it's finding, again, some of those smaller time investors at those local meetups that need some help. And a lot of them are like DIYers at those meetups. Like, they do everything themselves. They're super frugal with money. Like, they're whatever. Those are the ones that you can go and add value for free or help them out. You're probably not going to make money from them, but you're going to learn the skill set that you can then go and charge somebody else for.
100%. So you think it's just about getting as many skills as possible in the first 3 years for this person?
100%, dude. I got it all wrong in college. It's that, and it's your network. Like, I was a straight A student in college. I had a perfect 4.0. Like, I was a good student. But that's not how the real world works. It's not how good you can memorize facts. It's about how can you solve problems and how do you develop a network, like we talked about earlier. That's your cheat code. If somebody has a problem at this point, there is a 99.999% chance that somebody in my Rolodex can solve that problem. So it's about building your network of people and developing a skill set, ideally co-hosting on how to manage somebody else's properties. So like, you could go find somebody in our mastermind that, say, has 5 or 6 units and that they're solo person right now. And you could go and be the person that runs to the houses and changes ring batteries and goes to the Costco and restocks supplies and do all those things and learn via osmosis how this operation is running.
Yeah, I feel like once you have the foot in the door, you're like in pretty much. Like Matt did that with you, and now look at Matt's part of the team, right? He's essential.
A salary, he gets bonuses, like he owns a bunch of properties now, like he's there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, the thing that you have to do is figure out how to differentiate yourself, because there's a lot of tire kickers out there of people that say that they want to do these things, but they're not willing to do the work. So you got to be consistent and show up and be on time and be willing to work and do the results. That's what's going to separate you. And it's going to suck at first, probably. Realistically, it's going to suck for a little bit. I told you, it took me 9 months to get that first co-host deal, right? I was hosting a local meetup, and Chris Petsy can attest to this because he was one of the first people to go to it. He's one of our coaches now in the mastermind. There were 2 or 3 months straight where not a single person showed up to this meetup. It was just me with my whiteboard and all this stuff. I had my little camera set up, ready to film it. And they let me use this Capital One cafe for free. And I could tell like they all felt bad for me because I look like an idiot. Nobody showed up. And I was like, every time I packed up my stuff, I was like, all right, guys, see you next month. Thanks for letting me use the place. And they were like, what's wrong with this kid? Dude, it's clearly not working. You know what I mean? But like that meetup, eventually, after like, it was either 5 or 6 months of doing that, I ended up meeting someone that gave me a shot, and that person is the one that I've partnered with on every fucking hotel deal I've done. He was the one that brought the money for the first couple hotels. Like this person that I met at that meetup. Now, if I had quit after a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, that never would have happened. So again, like, how bad do you want it? It's a cute saying on Instagram of like, how do you want it as bad as you want to breathe? Do you? Because it's going to fucking suck sometimes. So you have the fortitude to hang in there long enough until success finally shows up for you, or until that opportunity finally shows up for you. That's it.
That's so true. And so even as a homeless man, to close off that part of it, you can make it to that by just following those steps that you mentioned, and just continuously being around there. It's one of those things where people are going to be listening and be like, I've heard that before. And then they're just going to go back to doing the other stuff, because people will know what they should be doing. People know what they should be doing, but they don't do what they know they should be doing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. For the people that want to get in touch with you, Mike, how can they reach out to you? Also, we mentioned the mastermind multiple times. That's not really I'm not trying to like hard sell anybody, but if anybody does want to join and be in that mastermind as well, how can they join?
Yeah, you can fill out an application at STR, like short-term rental, strsecrets.com/apply. I've got a whole bunch of resources at strsecrets.com. We've got the podcast, Short-Term Rental Secrets. My Instagram is at the Airbnb guy. I think I'm going to change that to just my name.
Change it to your name, please, because I can't even find you sometimes when I look you up.
There's too many fake accounts. So
Yeah.
I will never message you asking you for money or Forex or crypto or anything else. There's a lot of fake accounts popping up as me. That's just not my style. I don't invest in that crap, and I won't ask you for money on Instagram. So if anybody does, report them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure, buddy.